Hi friends, I am Anish and today we will be discussing about the term associated enterprises. We will see what associated enterprises mean in GST. So, as per CGST Act, the term associated enterprises signed the same meaning that it carries in section 92A of Income Tax Act. So, first and foremost, let us see what section 92A of IT Act tells us about the term associated enterprises. Associated enterprises means any enterprise which participates either directly or indirectly, either through one or more persons, in the management or control or capital of another enterprise. Suppose enterprise A participates in the management, control or capital of enterprise B, either directly or indirectly, either through one person or more persons, then enterprise A is an associated enterprise of enterprise B. Point number 2. If same set of persons are participating in the management, control or capital, either directly or indirectly, either through one person or more persons, of one or more enterprises, then all such enterprises are associated enterprises. For example, if the same set of persons manage or control or contribute capital in enterprise A as well as enterprise B, then both A and B are associated enterprises. This is what section 92A of IT Act tells us about associated enterprises. Now, CGST Act also have some deeming provisions regarding associated enterprises. Now let us see what are the conditions set out which, if fulfilled, attract deeming provisions of CGST Act. That means they will be deemed to be associated enterprises. First, we will see that there are two conditions relating to equity of associated enterprises. If one enterprise holds shares carrying not less than 26% of voting power in enterprise B, then both the enterprises are associated enterprises. And number 2, if same persons are carrying shares, are holding shares carrying not less than 26% of voting power in enterprise A and enterprise B, then both the enterprises are associated enterprises. These two conditions relates to equity structure of the two enterprises. Now, other two conditions relates to debt structure of associated enterprises. Let us see what are those. If enterprise A extends some loan to enterprise B and the total amount of loan so extended is greater than or equal to 51% of the book value of total assets of enterprise B, then the two enterprises are associated enterprises. We come to point number 2 pertaining to debt structure of associated enterprises. If enterprise A extends any guarantee to the lenders of enterprise B up to, and this guaranteed loan amount is greater than or equal to 10% of the total borrowings of enterprise B, then the two enterprises shall be deemed to be associated enterprises. Next, the deeming provisions relating to control and management of the two enterprises. There are two conditions. Again, we have two conditions relating to control and management. If enterprise A appoints more than half of the board of directors of enterprise B, or appoints at least one executive director in enterprise B, then the two enterprises are associated enterprises, deemed to be associated enterprises. Point number 2. If same set of persons are appointing more than half of the board of directors in the two enterprises, or appointing one or more executive directors in these enterprises, then both the enterprise A and enterprise B are associated enterprises. Now we come to the business operations set out, specified in the deeming provisions of GST Act, which if fulfilled will deem both the enterprises as associated enterprises. So let us see what are those conditions relating to business or operations of the two enterprises. Point number 1. Suppose enterprise A is involved in manufacturing or processing of some goods and services, and those manufacturing or processing of goods is wholly dependent upon, the manufacturing or processing of those goods is wholly dependent upon certain IPRs. By IPRs I mean intellectual property rights like patents, trademarks, copyrights, or this manufacturing or processing is wholly dependent upon some commercial rights like licenses or or any franchises, or these manufacturing activities of enterprise A is wholly dependent upon any kind of know-how like documentation or secret formula or any kind of data, and these IPRs or rights or know-how is owned by enterprise B, or enterprise B has exclusive rights over these IPRs or rights or secret formula or know-how, then we say that both the two enterprises shall be deemed to be associated enterprises. Point number 2. If enterprise A procures some raw material for its business purposes, and its total procurement of raw material if 90% or more of its total procurement of raw materials is from enterprise B. Suppose enterprise A procures 90% of its raw materials required from enterprise B or any other person appointed by enterprise B, specified by enterprise B. If enterprise B tells enterprise A that you have to purchase at least 90%, tells enterprise A that you will have to purchase all these materials from this particular person, and all these procurements are at least 90% of the total procurements of enterprise A, then these two enterprises, enterprise A and enterprise B, are associated enterprises. And if enterprise A procures from the person specified by enterprise B, and the pricing terms and other conditions of the agreement are dictated or specified by enterprise B, then we will say that the two enterprises are associated enterprises. Now we come to point number 3, relating to business and operations. If enterprise A sells all its goods to enterprise B or to any other person specified by enterprise B, and the terms of these sales made by enterprise A to the other person, pricing terms and or any other conditions of the sales is dictated by enterprise B, then enterprise A and enterprise B are associated enterprises. Now we have two more conditions relating to control by relatives, which if fulfilled will attract deeming provisions of CGST Act, and the two enterprises shall be deemed to be associated enterprises. Now let us check what are those two conditions relating to relative of the controller. If enterprise A is controlled by one individual and the same individual also controls enterprise B or any relative of this person controls enterprise B, then enterprise A and enterprise B both shall be deemed to be associated enterprises. Point number 2. If enterprise A is controlled by an HUF and any member or any relative of this member, of any of the members of the HUF, controls enterprise B also, then both enterprise A and enterprise B shall be deemed to be associated enterprise. And last but not the least, CGST Act extends powers to central government to frame rules in this regard, and they can prescribe even further relationships that might exist of mutual interest to both the enterprises, and then if those prescribed relationships exist, then these two enterprises shall be deemed to be associated enterprises. Hope you find this video useful, and if you find it useful, please don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe, and please also leave a comment. Thank you. Bye.